that the person that is worthy of it and that would show mercy, she, not he, she, whoever would show mercy would own the helmet of Hela. Okay, I was like, cool. Send her ass through the rainbow, which Heimdall was more than glad. I saw in the background, like, all right, see you, bitch. And send her back to Earth. Now, obviously, since this is kind of back in time, and we don't know exactly when, but we do know that it's around the same time era as from the Ten Rings and from Mandarin and the Ten Rings. And she lands in a mud field in the middle of the night right there. The leader of the Ten Rings is there, and then he tells her, "What do you want to do here?" "Oh, I want to conquer you. I'm like, you should bow down to me." Like, "Oh no, no one really, like, if you knew me, you would be like, oh, like scared and stuff. I don't really care about you." Zhu and Wu. My apologies. When she says that, "If I get my helmet, I'll be powerful," he says, "All right, sure, go get it. It's right there. We saw it. Go knock yourself out." So she goes there, and I did like this part. Obviously, she had a fight and everything else, and she was kicking ass in the rain, mind you. She gets to the helmet and tries to lift it. Well, you guys have like different gravity here or something? Like, what the hell's going on here? And then, and she actually said that was pretty funny. But then they reenacted Thor's struggle to lift the hammer at the same one. I did love that. She's like, ah, and she's screaming and screaming and screaming, and all the guards and all the warriors are just sticking there like, what the hell is wrong with her? And then she gives up. When Wu sees something in her, falls in love with her, tries to woo her, but this is not the other one, ladies and gentlemen. This is Hela, a demon in her own right. She doesn't really take the advances so well, and then takes some stuff. He gets mad, throws her into the dungeon. What's funny is that after that happens, she meets a Hundun from the Shang-Chi, probably the same Hundun, just talking to him, and I did like the joke where she said, "Wait, I wasn't talking to your face. I thought that was your face, but he actually was talking to her butt, to his butt." So turned around and everything else. She stole and she can understand Hundun. And also, I like to add, when the second she got the Midgard, she could automatically speak Mandarin just by geographical error. So we'll talk about that in a second. But up until the point when she stole the horse and was about to run away, what was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, when we saw that episode open up,
yes,
and we saw the showing of Thor 1 again being cast out of Asgard, similar, but then we're also talking about Thor 3 when we get introduced to Helena. Salute, Daniel. And then when we see this What If, and we find out in Thor 3 that there was an older sibling in Helena. We didn't know that from up to that point until Thor 3 with Loki. Loki's, of course, we know he's adopted, but the way they explained it makes you want to go, well, all right. This episode is starting to touch base, because what would have happened if Thor wasn't born, and if they did do their conquering, and that's where we get into this episode. So right now is asking, you're putting yourself, what happened if Thor never happened, and Helena was still around and they didn't cast her, and she didn't grow thirsty for annihilation and conquering, where Odin had to put a stop. Now, if in this one here, it may seem like Odin was the one that was more thirsty, and Helena just got tired of it. Like, that's something, and I'm just tired right now. I need a break. This is too much, bearing. And like you said, he said she. And I didn't say he was worthy. That was another good question there, because we're going to see that later down as we do this video. What you meant, what that comes back to play again in episode 7 later down in the upcoming few episodes. So when I saw that, and then it goes into the Mandarin with the 10 rings, finally we're going to get some interaction with, because we know the rings are cosmic, with Thor, with Asgard, God, and from another realm with these rings. Maybe we'll find out how the hell the rings got there. So when I saw that, that's okay. Maybe we're gonna have something, and at least in the one episode, Ad tells us where the hell the man, and why did it choose that region of the world at all places, which is nothing wrong with it, but we want to know why. Why it just chose that, and for Helena to learn Mandarin and speak the language and know that it must be because it's such a high power and they're gods that they just, remember, time and space for them moves different. Maybe they just picked it up faster. That's the
But at the
question I
same time,
asked.
here's a question for you, Kevin. She was stripped of her powers, just like Thor. Thor landed as a human being, really strong human being, but still a human being nonetheless. And I think you're right. I think over just time, maybe as just fooling around, she learned all the languages at the time of that era, which is scary. Imagine she landed in Germany or in South America in Mayan
Right.
temples. Like that would have been like crazy.
Right.
But continue.
Yeah, because they told us in Thor 1, and that they're educated. These are not just
Yeah.
big celestials who are just goofballs. They're educated. They learn. They read. They study. They read all different types of culture, and of course, they sometimes give out some of their information, as we saw there in remember Thor 1, with the professor that went nutty, say he knew
Yep.
about the Norse mythology. So that's already on Earth as folks tales or children
Mhm.
tales, or nursery rhymes, but it's actually their history being told to the earthlings, to where we get to go. So all that there is interacting. Maybe something with the internals in a what if neighbor down the road, they could say they educated. All these things opens up a possibility of what ifs, of situation that we might get those answers, those questions answered to us as season 3, maybe 4, whatever, and whatever the writers decide there to explain it to us. But I like the fact that the goes right into that she's going to about to go into follow the little, I forget the name of the
Undone.
river Hundun, into that mystical realm when they
Yep.
meet there. And you normally, if you got to be a pure heart or look on a mission of clarity to go there, I was surprised that he introduced himself to her, because we know her as an evil, bad, destruction,
Yeah.
and he introduced to her. I was like, wait a minute, are we having a change of heart here? And that's where we stopped there when they meet. They had that interaction, kind of like follow me, or that interaction, because you kind of felt that she was going to follow him.
True. And plus, at the same time, that if that's the same Hundun that we know from the movie, he doesn't really have a good judge of character because his best friend was a junkie actor. So you gotta look at it from like that perspective. But I do like that. I think if you look at it from that way, Hundun didn't really look at her as a fallen god. Hundun just looked at her head like, there's a woman in a jail cell that can speak to me and understand me. Oh, cool. Let's have a conversation. Also, before they went to the mythical forest, she's like, I'm going. Wait, I'm pretty sure I'm east. So if I keep going north, I'm gonna get where the Norse people are. I'm gonna get a bunch of people to worship me, and then I'm gonna get my power back. And she already had a plan. Like, I'm going to the Norse, and I'm gonna get my, like, that's not really a good idea, but all right, sure, whatever. That's great. They get to the mythical forest. She doesn't really believe Hundun, but they get to the Tao Lao, and they find Jai Yi, the woman that was supposed to marry Wen Wu and have Chan Shi. But time was off right here. She says that I'm the mistress of death. She convinces Jai Ji to say, hey, can I stay here to learn your thing? So therefore, I'm not a threat anymore. She's like, all right, fine. We have ways to control her if she goes crazy. And then thus the training it happens. Why are you here? Why are you trying to do these things? And then she keeps asking the same question. Why? And then what? And then what? And then what? And it gets deeper and deeper that she ultimately wants freedom, where we show a flashback of when Hela had her first dog, which is the dog that you see in the movies. And Odin, being like a very strict father, takes the dog and leashes it and then explains to her, when you have a weapon, it's best to have it at your side than against you, but not given the chance to choose that side. Just automatically, you're my side. If you like it, I don't give a crap, whatever. Thus opening up herself and having a moment of clarity, as you said. From there, she wants to go outside again to fight Wenwu, so that Wenwu does not want to get to the mythical forest, because that was his purpose anyway, but is just sped up by a few centuries, as we see here. That's fine, because again, we don't know the exact timeline of when this is. This could be in the 1500s. This could be 1,000 years ago. This could be 1920. We don't know. We're in the forest of China. That's it. All right, sure. Keep going from there. Heimdall reports to, at the same time, Heimdall reports to Odin that he cannot find her. Because again, Heimdall can see any universe, any place, and any time. But since Tao Lao is a mythical place that's covered, you can't see it. That kind of pisses off Odin. Odin automatically thinks, all right, they killed my daughter. Get the gats. We're going around the block. Let's do a drive-by. Let's go. We gotta represent. So he goes to the last place where she got thrown, which was in front of Wenwu's fortress. And then Odin, which I love, who has the weapon Gungnir, which is the original weapon of Odin. And this is pre One Eye Odin. So again, this could be either Odin and he lost that eye in the battle with the Frost Giants, or this could be Odin before he does the Tree of Knowledge, goes upside down and does all those things. We don't know, but we know that it's 2-Eye Odin. He recognizes that Wenwu has a power that's not of his own, of this universe, and it's cosmic, and I want that. He's like, you know what? No, screw that. Hela jumps in, and she has the new dragon armor. She has trained with Tao Lao. She's actually more open with her spirituality. The fight happens, and I will say, ladies and gentlemen, this fight was glorious beyond all comparison, because Wenwu is a very outside in, like a ranged fighter with her thing, and then Hela is a very inside fighter with her sword and everything else, but trained in Tai Chi. At the same time, she tells Wenwu, we have to get the staff away from Odin. That's the key. Get it away from him, and we have a chance. Yeah, that's easier said than done. So as they keep going back and forth, they do little misdirections. She's fighting over here. He hits him in the face. Odin's getting pissed off. Power Cosmic comes out, because again, he has Power Cosmic. At the point when he grabs one of the rings, because he's strong enough to do that, Hela gets in there, does a Chai Chi move, slips into Gungnir, and just gets him right in the freaking face. At that moment, we got a comment before I continue. Thank you.
What's up, Jason?
What's up, EX? Gonna live tonight. Talk about anything with you guys. That's up to Mr. Kevin if he's up to live tonight. It's New Year's. Enjoy life.
It's New Year's, maybe not, because I know it's wrestling, but because we're gonna do night one. Maybe that's why we probably take the night off tonight.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. As I continue, at that moment when she's fighting Odin, she comes to a moment of clarity where Odin's like, "You becoming the mistress of death, and you actually want to give mercy," and that's where she says the same line that he said to her. The helmet activates, and like freaking a Green Lantern ring, whoop whoop, come right on her head, and she becomes White Hela. Which I'm not being racist, ladies and gentlemen. That's actually what it was. Just like, let's say Glowing Hela. Glowing Hela has the power to stop Odin in his tracks and stops the fight completely. He acknowledges and humbles himself and says that because of all this war, I thought we needed to do this, but you taught me the way. You can take my throne if you want to, and you earned it. And she says, I'm taking the throne. Here we go. You can type it in BX.
Okay.
Thank you. You can type in BX. I got you. And she says, I'll take your throne to break it apart, piece by piece, realm by realm, until all and everyone is free. Now, thank you. And the end, Wenwu, Odin, and Hela all join forces. Not Tao Lao. They're still doing their own thing. Are joining forces to unite. Not unite, but free all the night realms from the tyranny of Odin when he was there. And they cut to when the scene of Infinity War where Thanos is trying to talk to young Gamora, and at that moment he was going to kill half the people. Then he looks up, and freaking the Cosmic Avengers come out of nowhere. Bah, 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 bah! And freaking it's Odin and Hela and Wenwu all coming in on this. Thanos is done. Thanos is done. Now, before I get your thoughts, let's hear a little bit of the references.
What If Hela Found the 10 Rings had a bunch of Thor references and other references from the MCU. So we're going to be talking spoilers from What If Season 2 Episode 7, so this will be your spoiler warning. When Odin is casting out Hela from Asgard, instead of sending her to Hell like he does in Ragnarok, he casts her out to Earth, saying the same enchantment as he does to Thor when he casts Thor to Earth in the first movie. He also breaks the hammer like Hela does in Thor Ragnarok. When Hela is on Earth, she tries to lift her crown, and thunder and lightning happen, just like how when Thor tries to lift the hammer on Earth, it does the same thing. The protector of Tao Lo captures Hela and tells Hela about what Tao Lo is and how they're the protectors of this realm to stop the enemies from the underworld, which is referencing the Dweller of Darkness, but is also a reference to Hela being the literal goddess of Hell, even though in this she didn't become that god because she never went to Hell. She liberates Gamora's planet when Thanos is trying to take it over, which is pretty much why this is a What If Infinity War episode. So let me know, what other MCU references and Easter eggs did you notice during this episode?
There you go.
I've got a thing there though, because at the end of that, we're assuming they're going to destroy Thanos. I had another point of view, because remember, the guy. I didn't follow too much of the 10 ring story.
Yeah,
The man with the 10 rings. I
Mandarin.
wasn't a
Yeah,
big the Mandarin.
it's Mandarin.
He turned on the good side. Helena was
Yeah,
evil, and she's also a good side when she becomes on that compassionate white robe. Weren't then my question was, did they go change Thanos into a face, a good guy, or because that's what I kind of because when they're coming in the cosmic as the like you said the cosmic Avengers in that
yeah,
what if I didn't think of them destroying Thanos. I thought of changing him because he's actually giving shelter to a young Gamora because he took her in as a daughter, a child.
yeah,
Maybe they're gonna change his mind instead of being evil and killing everyone to be a nurturing and that's the way I got of it. I didn't think
yeah,
of the adventures of them going to annihilate and destroy them. We already saw them got destroyed already in other episodes, especially with Tony Stark's and Gamora with the Zapper that they
yeah.
and this one here I thought something totally different. So it's great because we talk about it and we see the different what ifs. And again, this is what we're plan. This is why we're doing these reviews, but not to just to give our perspective of what if or what we saw and interpret these episodes. And I love the battle scenes, the fight scene there with Odin, the Mandarin, Helena, everyone in there, the ways, the strategy, everything hit. And I was asking about Odin. Let's say, then I even thought about it. What happens? He, like you said, he didn't lose his eye yet. So Loki hasn't been born and he hasn't retrieved it yet because he hasn't had the battle with the Frost Giants. What if this battle here humbles him so much that he changes his ways of thought because he kind of left in defeat. He left in defeat. He goes back to Asgard. He then sees the Frost Giants jumping up and doing their mischief, and he goes as learning his lesson. I got to change my ways, and that's when he loses his eye, and that's when Thor begins and all that. And that's what I thought. Maybe that's a what if that he gets humbled. His ass got humbled. He got beat, and we go in that universe. But that's all the
That's
different
true.
possibilities there that
Yeah,
I was
it is.
that I would look at.
I do like that because again, at that moment when he met Gamora, he already had the black hand. I remember that. He already has the black hand. He already has his army, and it's growing. Not so much that he was Infinity War, but it's getting to that point because Gamora was a kid. So I guess like that's 20 years before Guardians of the Galaxy, 30 years before Infinity War, all that stuff. But we're in the Infinity War thing. But I think, yeah, he could just went over there and say, hey, surrender. Let's not do this shit anymore. Everyone's free. You don't have to kill half the universe. Because remember, Thanos did that because in his mind, it was a necessity of resources. But if everybody's free, then everyone can try to be a better person. So I did like that at the end. And you're right. Not Thor. If Odin stayed with Hela, there would probably be no Loki because again, he found Loki in a battle. He wouldn't marry his wife in order to have Thor, so therefore there is no Thor in this universe anyway. And because he's happy with his daughter, mind you, we don't know he had a daughter, so therefore we don't know if the wife died in this universe either. They never said it. They just said that Hela and Odin was just wrecking shop, but we don't know if the wife died. So if she died in this universe, then either way there is no Thor. So I do like that aspect. This is a totally different timeline, maybe with no Thor, no Loki, and nothing else like that. But again, there's still the Dark World. Elves still hated Odin for a long time, even before this shit happens. So that's another thing they can go by a part 2. But let's continue. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to episode 8, and I actually have the thing in the background. What if the Avengers assembled in 1602? Now, this is a continuation of episode 5 to 6, obviously, when Peggy got picked up. And, oh, where the hell am I? At the start of this episode, it's really bad for me because it's funny wise. At the start of this episode, Loki is projecting Hamlet, but really bad. Obviously, really, he's like a very big Shakespeare fan. Not Odin, but Thor is just like, oh, whatever. This is really boring. There's whatever. Hela is there, and she's the queen. No Odin, just Hela. And a bunch of other characters are there. All of a sudden, a rift opens up in space. Captain Carter comes out of nowhere in her medieval armor version, saves Loki because Loki gets sucked up the thing first. Boom. Has some particles on his skull. The queen gets transported, and she tries to save her, but the queen gets disappeared. Thor, being pretty much a blockhead, it's like, you know what? It's your fault. I kind of know that you saved her, but I don't care. So she's on the run. And as she's on the run, she goes to the forest. And again, once again, Loki is projecting Othello to two girls who don't give a crap about it. Like, just like he's like, it's basically if a football player is talking to people that don't know anything about football, and like, I don't care what you're talking about. Like, I'm getting a free ride and free alcohol, whatever, man. Just set hut, whatever. So as that's happening, three people stop the carriage. They open up the door. They open up the top window, and it's Roger's hood. So he's called that. Bucky with his nice little arm in metal. We don't know what type of metal that is, but it's probably vibranium. And Ant-Man, who apparently has the power of Ant-Man's in medieval times. We didn't explain that, but okay, sure. And they're robbing it. Ant-Man is focusing on the cakes. Rogers is focusing on the money. Out of nowhere, Captain Carter comes out of nowhere. Roger's hood tells him that's weird. My Margaret died many moons ago. I haven't heard someone say that in a while. By the way, Peggy's name is Margaret. Peggy's just a nickname, as we can find out later in life. And they have an instant chemistry from right then and there. She's there because she needs to find someone who's smart enough to help her. And where did she go? To Tony Stark, which is just. But from that point on, what was your thoughts on this? From that to the interaction of Rogers Hood and I'll just call it Rogers and Captain America. Say it like that.
Yeah, that's right. Just to see, yeah, because we go back to the episode where she gets pulled down, where the Hydra Stomper, I believe episode 5, and we want to see what happened. Now, where we finally see that 16th century, of course, they try to talk Shakespearean. I found that hilarious there. Where Loki, horrible, and he's like being a trickster, getting a free ride with the two dames that was funny. Also kind of a Robin Hood type of deal. But again, the main idea so far of this plot is that love connection, no matter what multiverse, what universe, Peggy and Rogers just overshadows no matter what dimension and what timeline and space. So we're okay now. This is the telenovela, or of the Marvel, the MCU universe. Peggy and Steve Rogers, and of course, in every multiverse, I haven't seen one yet. I'm pretty sure What If will come up with one later. Tony Stark is still the mind of a genius, no matter what century there. So I'm pretty sure there's gonna be one that he's a dunce and everything will be backwards, but it's still this was great. Let's take a look at it. Let's go right with that. I'm like, okay, let's see what Tony Stark's is gonna, with his mind in the 16th century with limited technology. What is he gonna come up with?
True. That is true. Now we continue on where they're in the secret treehouse area. Rogers and everyone else is drinking chin chin and everything else. Rogers asks Carter, like, describe her Rogers to him. He's like, no, because that's her Rogers. He's not going to describe that. Out of nowhere, these little bugs come out of nowhere, and then you find out they're yellow jackets. All the same technology from the Ant-Man to, again, we don't know how this is happening. Happy Hogan is there too, and he's the sheriff of Nottingham. And then stuffing the yellow jackets in the gun and shooting them, and they go in there. No match for Carter, by the way. And then going back and forth, Carter gives the shield to Rogers, who's a natural with the shield, who's never had a shield before. He has the pointy one, but not the circular one. A little weird about that, but it's explained later for that reason. Then, for some weird reason, actually not weird reason, because it's Thor. Happy Hogan brings out the destroyer from Iron Man 1, who just destroys the whole thing, and they have to run away. And Carter tells him, get out of here. I'll distract them. You can guys run away. The Rogers and his crew leaves. She gets arrested. In the dungeon, she overhears that the Wanda, or the Scarlet Witch, is trying to find the overseer. Not really the forerunner. There's someone else here in time that's not supposed to be here, and that person's the reason for the rifts. So she asks Carter to come to find that forerunner, but they don't know who the forerunner is. At the same time, the Watcher's like, no, let's get out of here. I can just get you out of here. Let's go. She's like, no, I have to try. Look, sometimes universes die. I see millions die every day. It's just going to happen. Like, what if you don't do this? What if you don't save this? What if? Even Carter's like, all right, what if I don't even try? So he's like, all right, fine. I'm just gonna keep watching. And he told her, sure. As this is happening, gets into custody, and as she's escaping, she finds a cell. And in that cell, there's a guy that sounds like Banner. Banner, is that you? Oh, leave me alone. The piece is quiet. I love it. And he's wearing the Iron Mask, like the Iron Mask, which is another nod to he had the same armor as the Iron Man Mark 1 armor. So I think Iron Man made the mask for him. Now, this is the difference between Rogers and Carter. Rogers would accidentally get out of the way, and then the door would get shot because the door got shot, and Banner's turned into the Hulk and rampaged out. Carter, knowing that she's gonna get shot, moves out the way and makes sure Banner gets shot in order for him to turn the Hulk. Carter's a savage. I will give you that. That's two big ass differences. Hulk has a beard, very, very English. She jumps on his back and gets out of there. She escapes. She finally meets Tony Stark, who is, like, by the way, Tony Stark gave, here, have this, Banner. She drinks a couple of, oh, this is great alcohol at 6 a.m. I woke you up, didn't it? All right, whatever. But we met Tony Stark before, and he's like all enamored by the big words that Carter is saying. She even brings up flux capacitor, nice little Back to the Future reference. He says that I actually made something. This is called this will find the Forerunner, but we need the time stone. We need that stone that King Thor has. So they make up a play, and with the help of everything else, they sneak into the castle with Rogers and Ant-Man and Bucky. I call them all those things. They sneak into the castle, but the Hulk is in there too. We find out that Happy Hogan is Purple Hogan from this Christmas episode. Again, not really explained until we get there, ladies and gentlemen. And Thor and Captain Carter are fighting each other. The rift opens. Wanda is using her power to hold the rift together, while at the same time Thor is fighting Carter. When Tony Stark brings the box and is ready to use it, Wanda betrays Thor, and they get this time stone. They put the time stone in the box. She puts her hands in. It's freaking time gauntlets, a la Iron Man Mark 1, and then shoots on Thor. And I'm thinking, okay, he's going to turn him old. It doesn't really help as Guardians because the older they get, the more powerful they get. So, but it actually stopped time. And we find out the reveal of who the Forerunner is. And it's actually, sadly, Roger's Hood. He doesn't remember it. And Carter kind of like jumpstarts his memory, where he explains that he was in a battle in space and he was fighting somebody. And in the moment that he punched, he missed and aimed at one of the stones, which was what the time stone. That transported his ass back in 1602. And at the same time, made an incursion where his universe from the future melded to the 1602 universe of the past. Because again, this is still his own universe, just future melded into the past. That's what happens. Rogers realizes that he has to go back home. He realizes that he's not going to have his happy ending, but they give a nice little Easter egg where he says, we'll get our happy ending. Again, this could be the same Rogers at the end of Infinity War and everything else, goes back in time, finds Peggy, presses the button, boom, goes back to the Battle of Thanos. Everything's back to normal. Everything's back to 1602. Now she is a super soldier in a 1602 century with no superheroes, no nothing, and outdoor plumbing. She hears a sound and she thinks it's the Watcher. And no, it's actually Supreme Strange. Do I have a story for you? And that was episode 8. What was your thoughts on it, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm looking at the Wasp or the Yellow Jackets, coming, I thought of Quantum Realm. Because we all saw that Yellow Jacket in Ant-Man 2 was in the Quantum Realm. Did he somehow one of the variants, or did they remember? We know Kang is in there. One of the multi-Kangs are in that Quantum Realm. Did they jump out of space and time and landed in a 1602 with that technology to provide there, or was it because of the rip? And that's why I quickly went to Ant-Man 2 thinking about that when they were using the Yellow Jackets technology, the shrinking ability. I said, oh damn, is that gonna tie into that? Also where Nick Fury's still the spy, because he kind of was doing back channel dealings, trying to get Wanda to get Tony to get that and to plot to get that stone out of there. And then again, where did Helena go when she went through the vortex?
Yes.
That I had a question. Where did Helena go? They didn't show anything. So that's like a big mystery at the end of that episode. It felt again the Peggy Steve Rogers saga. I mean, not even in 16th century, they could even be together there for a couple of minutes. Anything whatsoever is like, oh my goodness. And Thor, like you said, as Guardians get older, they don't age. How did that stone get there? And
Yep.
again, I like the fact that they showed us how Rogers got there when it actually was the shield that cut the
That
Infinity
cracked.
Sword.
Yeah.
It cracked it. It was the shield when he hit that cracked it and that opened up that cosmic, similar to what we saw where episode 6 when the Tesseract got split and what
Cracked.
the Ripple
Yep.
cracked. That's another, and we went back in time. The other one was space and time. This one was time. So they're showing us different things with the Infinity Stones. So this is as of this right now, as episode 8, this whole season was what if, but there was a lot of Infinity Stones references. At least the middle part of the middle to ending shows us a lot has to do with the Infinity Stones. So okay, so there's going to be more to this, especially when we see Supreme Stain says, "I have a story for you." We saw that with Kahani in episode 6. What does this do with Carter? Where is Kahani? What's going on? What did you do? You went to recruit. What are you recruiting? Why are you recruiting the good guys and especially and also females? Is there a purpose of
Yes.
why you're recruiting females? And we'll wait, and that's where that leaves me worried. Episode 8, wanted to know what's next.
Exactly. And before we continue, reference time.
Episode 8 of What If Season 2 had a shit ton of Easter eggs and references from the Marvel Universe. So we're going to be talking spoilers from What If the Avengers assembled in 1602, so this will be your spoiler warning. When they show the royal family, it's an Asgard royal family with Hela, Thor, and Loki, and Hela has Loki's scepter, which instead of the Mind Stone, it has the Time Stone in it, which is why it's green. During this episode, Nick Fury references Nebula's observatory. We also get a reference to Isle of Ego, which means Ego is an island rather than a living planet. And then we have Groot Groves, which Groot is a wine grove. So fun little references to these characters we haven't seen in the episode, but we know they're around. Steve also asks Peggy if he can hear about the Steve from her universe, and she turns around and says, "No, I don't think I will," which is a reference to Endgame when Steve says, "No, I don't think I will," to Sam. When Steve Rogers is fighting, his shield is just like the ones were from Infinity War, which led into this being a huge reveal that this episode is a What If Infinity War episode. During this scene, Peggy says, "We never get a happy ending," a reference to literally her episode where Steve flew into the Red Room to sacrifice himself to save her.
Yeah, good references. I didn't think about that one there. Although most of those there with the Groot and the island of Ego.
Ego.
Good job there. That's why it's always good to hear those things.
And before we go to number 9, I want to say they have nice little, he has a review. I think the ending. Here we go.
What If the Avengers Assembled in 1602 is the 8th episode in What If Season 2 with an ending that I was not expecting. We're going to be breaking it down, so this will be your spoiler warning for the episode. When Captain Carter and her rebels are going against Thor and his men in the castle, Tony Stark pulls out his device that is for the Infinity Stone, but it turns out when they activate their device that Steve Rogers is the character that's from the future. He's the one that somehow ended up in the past, all because of Infinity War, meaning that this is a What If Infinity War episode. Steve Rogers fighting Thanos. He hit the time stone, which caused a reaction, sending him back in time, which in the end also brought all these other characters to the time period as well. And that's why the universe was collapsing on itself, is because you had the past and future crashing into one another. So when they sent Steve back to the future, that also reset everyone else, sending them all back so that they weren't still in 1602. So in the end, Captain Carter gets left alone and is stuck in that universe. However, in the end, Supreme Strange does come to recruit her for his new team because something's going down. What did you think of this ending, and do you have any theories for the final episode?
Got it. So everybody was sent back. Okay, that one I didn't. I kind of thought about it, but I didn't ask myself that question. As I thought they were going to be there. So everyone went. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. And now they can write that away. Oh, Hela was sent back to where she was. Go, no, whatever.
Mhm.
Explanations. I'm like, oh, motherfuckers. All right, I got you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the finale, episode 9. There was supposed to be 10 episodes once again, but we'll get to that a little later. What if Strange Supreme intervened? Now, we find that Strange is talking with Carter at the same pub in 1602. And he's like, you know what? I'll give you something better. So he gave her about centuries old scotch, which I respect him for that.
Yes.
Great little touch. He's like, yes. I was like, oh, yes. He's like, I need your help. I'm actually like assembling a team to find some things. You want to come? He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. That's like because they're all connected in war and they're all connected in the things that the battles that they have. And I love that the Watcher said that they're friends and not in battle, but in the things that they believe in. And same thing as well. So I do love that. After all that's happening, they went. He shows her the Sanctorum Infinitum, and she's like, "What is this place?" Oh, Watcher likes to watch, but I've been collecting things, as you can see, Ultron and this guy and this guy and this, and there's a whole bunch of references, Vampire Howard Duck, and all these things, and these are all universe killers, and it's true. All these characters at one point in time or in one point of a universe would you destroy the universe in order to get power. That happens, and he tells her, "I need your help," and she says, "Oh wait, let me guess, one person escaped. How'd you know?" I've Gremlins, this, and a whole bunch of movie references saying that when you put a whole bunch of things next together in one place, something's gonna escape or someone. It's just gonna happen. It's movie logic. It's like, all right, sure. I will send you to this universe where she is. It's a she. So I was like, "Huh." And at that moment, I'm like, "Huh, I don't know who she is. Go get her." So when she gets to that universe, the Watcher comes in and tells her about this universe. In Project Insight, or the project that made Captain Carter and or Steve Rogers, the bomb blew up both of them. So there was no Captain America. Red Skull grabbed the Tesseract, did the powers, won the war, like took over the world, but then blew it up. So literally there was no one left in that world except for a Mount Rushmore head of Red Skull, which is very scary to think about. Like that's, and again, bring up the point that Watcher's like, there are worlds that are just destined to die, whether you like it or not. And you have to accept it sometimes. A nice little Easter egg reference as well from Avengers Age of Ultron, where the guy Quicksilver was going after Barton and doing the same thing, said the same thing too. After a while, got her. But then she's like, "Let me guess, this guy sent you because I'm a universe killer?" Like, yeah. And then she gives the shield back. And that's when Doctor Strange, Supreme Strange, pulls him in, and then the thing is revealed. We find out that he's trying to bring his universe back. He's trying to bring Christine back. He is bringing and collecting universe killers, but he's also collecting righteous heroes to dump into the Forge, what he calls the Forge, in order to get it back. There was a moment of make your decision, Carter, which my girlfriend's like, hurry up, Peggy. Why are you waiting so long? Like, give her a second. She's like, she's weighing the options. She doesn't know who she is. Like, I don't know you. I've been in the war with this guy. But then I did also like the part when she goes up to him and she punches him, and there's just a shield next to him. And I'm telling myself, this is the guy who fought an Ultron with Infinity Stones and ate a lot of blasts like it's nothing, and you're punching him like it's gonna make a difference. Oh, Peggy, poor Peggy. So as that's happening, she realizes like you need a distraction. She uses her shield to let out everybody in the jail cell. We got adult Peter Quill. We got Shang. We got the Mandarin with the rings. We have this. We have that. They're running away. We see Thanos come out of nowhere with the Infinity Stone. Random Thanos grabs the shield and like, oh shit! And it's Kaori, and he's about to snap, but someone snaps first and then snaps him out of his existence. I'm like, who the fuck is that? As the sounds picking up and the music, I'm like, oh, and she recognizes it's Killmonger. Same Killmonger for episode 1. And as we're fighting, is saying, there's only one guy against Killmonger and Kaori. How are you going to do this? And Carter tells Kaori, we need that armor that he has on to even have a chance against Strange. And Kaori, being ever so smart, was like, okay, fine. I'll just teleport his ass out of the body and teleport his ass back into the fight. And he's like, where'd you go? Oh, I just put him back where he goes. And then you see him, what's going on here? And immediately fight everybody. Now, at that point, what are your thoughts on the episode? The reveal, betrayal, and the battle royale.
Yeah, I'm gonna still go a little bit backwards there with the Killmonger. I love that she was so intelligent immediately to get him out of the damn suit. You don't have, and send them back into the fight, and then Killmonger's like, yo, I'm ready to fight. Yo, Wakanda armor immediately.
Let's go.
Boom, let's go. I love that part. And then poor Thanos again, he's about to snap, and they snap his ass out of nowhere. So now we know that suit is available. But all in all, to start it off, it's Strange becoming desperate. what is, and again, a reference to Meatloaf. Those for people who know,
Yeah.
I would do anything for love.
Oh
So
my God, that's a deep cut.
so
God,
I
thank you
thought
for
about
that.
that. Meatloaf, so he really would do anything pretty much. I like they had Ultron with Infinity Ultron with all the when he collects the Infinity Gauntlet or the
Yep.
Infinity Stones, they had him tied up in there in jail and put away. The one thing I was waiting for, though, I want to be honest with you, all those universe destroyers, is are we gonna finally freaking see Mephisto? Like, is he there? And wah, 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 nothing. So I was like, although as we get closer, I got thought something similar that was gonna happen, but when we get into it. But I like the fact that Strange is explaining why he wants to sacrifice, because that's, again, back to I'll do anything for love, because that's what he wants. He just wants it's the same thing as Peggy Carter, but Peggy is going at it in a different way. So will Peggy's sacrifice, or her way of living without her love, will she get to the compelling Doctor Strange, Steve? So will we find out? And that's where we set our battles, where now we have the Infinity Gauntlet, where she has enough a level of power to calmly try to talk or tell him, look, I'm dealing with this. I'm gonna listen to me. I'll help you deal with this. And that's where we leave off there, because now she's got the armor, and now we're getting ready to have that confrontation.
And as we continue in the beginning battle between Infinity Armor Carter and Kaori by herself, because she has nothing on her, she Strange is underestimating her, like, oh, it's so cute that you. And at the same time, she picked up the powers real quick of how to use every single one, maybe by osmosis, by looking at Ultron and kind of figuring out what's happening, which I kind of respect that. They're fighting back and forth. Strange is holding his own against Kaori and everybody else, but in the end result, as they think they're winning, there's more of us as there's not more of you. Strange stops that and says, yet there's not more than you guys, which makes it hundreds of them. But then Carter's like, oh, I can do that too, like a Goku, and freaking does the same 1,000 Carters, and they fight each other. Strange does the Mind Stone to make not really a Mind Stone, just really an illusion on his power, which again, we have to remind ourselves, he is strong enough by himself to have the same powers of the Infinity Armor by himself, because he fought his own against Ultron, and Ultron knew that he was the threat. No one else was the threat. As we continue on, we see that we're in the facility where either Carter or Rogers will get the serum. And he's like, you'll stay with me. We'll fight the Nazis. We'll do this together. And my girlfriend's like, you got a war. You kind of have a multiverse thing. Like, Nazis are not really that important right now in the full scale of things. And then the part where I loved, where she noticed it, was that he said, I love you, and a butterfly passed by, reminding her, you're still in the battle. Get back in the fight. Like, no, he's like, I love you. Like, no, you're not him. He tries to punch. She punches back. Disperses everything. Back to the battle all over again. He's like, I'm done with this crap. Turns on the forge, and everyone gets teleported from their fight into the top. They get right down. They go nice little up down motion for a while. Eventually, they lose while some of the heroes and villains are dying. Hela's like, I'm not gonna die that way. She throws the helmet of hers to Carter and says, give him hell, with the HEL, not HELL. Thor throws his hammer. The Mandarin throws his 10 rings. Banner or Hulk, which is, by the way, a version of the universe where Hulk had Thor's powers and Thor's had Hulk powers. Look it out, really great comic. Throws his gamma cosmic infused sword, and it's cosmic infused because it has the Kirby crackle. Shout out to Kirby, that make those little things in the art. She literally puts on the helmet, the sword, and everything else. Kaori puts on the 10 rings. Now it's time to have some fun. Now the second part of the battle starts. They're going back and forth. They're just going nuts. And at the time that this is fighting, you see that Strange is slowly losing his human self and turning to the self that we saw for episode 4 and at the end of the first season. And at the point, he's like, screw this crap. He turns into his form, tries to throw Carter into the forge. At the same time, the forge is weakening. So Kaori has enough power to teleport everybody back to their original homes, except for the ones that died. Sorry, can't do that. And they keep going to battle. At the moment of clarity, when The armor's taken off her. They throw the hammer to the Strange. He eats it. They throw the staff of Odin Gungnir into his hand, and there's a happy face that swallows it. All is lost. Kaori throws at the last second. Carter, in a last ditch effort, tries to punch him. Kaori throws the stones, and she grabs it with her hands, which would have exploded her hand. But either way, again, cartoons, and punched him in the face, which separated a la Venom, like from his body, just like that. And that moment, it's like, my grief is too strong. I can't stop it. When it's true, and we realize what he did. All that powers didn't make him into a demon. The grief he had for Christine made that demon. That's a big difference in power. At the moment, the grief comes back into him, grabs Carter, takes him. I'm taking your ass to hell with me. She's punching and punching and punching. She escapes. Supreme Strange gets out of the body and pulls him back to hell. And I did like that because, again, this is the deep cut. We're talking about deep cuts. This reminded me of Freddy Krueger Part 5 when his mother grabbed him by the arms and like this got out of no Part 4 with the Dream Warriors, where everyone's like grabbed him by the arms, like, no, your ass is coming back. Yeah, and like that's what I reminded me of. He accepted it. The forge happens, it explodes, but the Watcher gets him out in the last seconds. And like, what happened? Am I okay? You're okay. Kaori's okay as well. I sent her back to her home dimension. We're all good. Like, what happened to Strange? And he shows her this is the universe that he saved. Christine is there, but by the cost of his own life. And he basically did a Spider-Man Homecoming. He wiped his existence, his own essence out of this universe to ensure he would do it. Also, a nice little Easter egg in case I forget. He himself, sacrificing himself, was powerful enough to power the Forge to make his own universe. That his power is the equivalent of all the superheroes and villains that were in that place combined. That is a scary, scary thought. But the Watcher tells her, it's time to take you home. All right. Can we take this? Like, let's take the scenic route. We don't have to go to San Juan. Let's go to the beaches first. Let's go to Piñones and have some fun first. All right. And the nice little Easter egg at the end was that I have something to show you. And they show the Loki multiverse tree, that the tree of life that Loki has made. So now that tells us this is all connected to what Loki was doing. We also find out that the Watcher is a fifth dimensional being. That's why he was not affected by these multiple stuff that's happened in Loki. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, fifth dimensional being was like, when I said, I was like, whoa. And then seeing Loki with the tree after we just finished reviewing Loki season 2 and his ultimate sacrifice, that was phenomenal. Phenomenal job there, seeing that there, and it tied in. I was like, let's go. But the battle scenes, that second battle scene that they had with all the different cosmic weapons from all the swords and Hela's crown. Yo, just think I say, wow, if they were to do this on a live action, that would be so much awesome. All that fighting scene. And I love the fact that Kalani knew how to use the power she had to teleport them back. And when, like you said, those that pass away along with Strange, I think that was just enough for the Forge, for a recipe to save Christine. Maybe he knew about that, and that's why he went to get Coroni and Carter, because they needed them. And he probably, because remember, he could see, Supreme Strange could see all the probabilities, or Strange himself from Infinity Wars to see all the probabilities, whoever's going to win and all the outcomes. Maybe he's tried to look and saw the different outcomes and saw he had to get Kahoni from one and find Carter, and that battle had to happen because he was strong enough to pull his grief out into the Forge, and he had to sacrifice himself in order for Christine to win. Maybe he was searching through space and time and researching and came up with that plan, that probability, and it executed to its perfection. That's what, so I'm like, yeah, so Strange is really one of those, not strange, but a smart, powerful character in the Marvel world, because he saw that he kind of foretold us that in Infinity Wars, and Endgame, actually Infinity Wars, the first one, and then now after the end of this show, what if making that sacrifice? I caught it immediately. I was like, he saw the probabilities, and that's why he won. He didn't go get Scarlet Witch. He didn't.
No.
He didn't go get. He didn't go get America Chavez either, because America Chavez could break into dimensions and so forth, and has that power that he was trying to get and help or protect from Wanda. So I knew that's he must have looked at that probability and said, "No, I don't need them." Remember, Doctor Strange ended and the multiverse with that Dark Supreme Strange, and maybe that's where that story picked up from there. So I had all those questions. All in all, what a way it ended here, there, especially with the Tree of Life at the end with Loki and and I'm like, well, okay, season 3 is going to be phenomenal because it probably goes into Loki because they never mentioned about Loki season
Nope.
number 3, but maybe the what if opens up for Loki season 3 because something happens in the what if that opens up a possibility to make a season 3.
That's true. And they have confirmed that season 3, there's going to be a Spider-Man episode, and there's going to be a. We'll talk about that later on. My thoughts on this episode as a whole, I did like that they kind of closed up the story of Supreme Strange. We were not expecting that at all. I kind of wish that there was more hints throughout this season to get to here. The surprise was like out of nowhere, left field. Like, okay, Supreme Strange is the villain. So I thought he was in the battle with these guys. He's not going to betray them because he knows them. He knows their hearts. He knows it's true. But I have something to argue your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Kaori made a good point a bunch of times. She kept saying over and over again, "You're a lonely person. You're by yourself all the time." After the first season, he was by himself, still with his grief, but just with a thing in his hand the whole time. So again, he was still grieving over Christine, and no counseling, no one to talk to. So I think he was going to do this plan. He was willing to do all this for the end of it. But the Watcher said it too. Even for a brief moment, he knew he was wrong and he wanted to repent for what he did. In that brief moment, when Carter talked to him and they saw his grief, he probably said, "You know what? I don't want to do this anymore because this is not the way to go." But he did sacrifice himself in order for Christine to come back. So in the end, he kind of like had a catch-22. He got the ending he wanted, but he didn't get the ending that he wanted and needed in a sense. So in that aspect, cool. Carter, now it's kind of bookending her because now what are you gonna do? If your goal is to take her on the long way back to her house and show her the multiverse, sure, she could. It would actually be cool if in season 3 she's with the Watcher, like next to him, and like just kind of like commenting stuff. Because if that's the way to go, then I like that. I like that Carter gives her perspective and actually be like, "You know what? I'll right back, Carter. I'll be right back. Where you going?" And she jumps in and tries to help and jumps out. Because again, the Watcher can't interfere, but Carter can't. There's no rules saying that Carter can just jump in and out of universes to kind of do this. And you're right. Loki could be a season 3 where Loki, who, by the way, we don't know if he sees the Watcher or not. We don't know if he's at a level of power that we've never understood, but that still doesn't comprehend to the level of the Watcher, who's been there way before before the Kangs even understood what time was. There was the Watcher. So that's more questions about that. In the end, bring back more Kaori for season 3, like we talked about in last episode. And if this is gonna be the bookend of Carter, I hope they give her an Infinity War Endgame episode where she does the same thing as Rogers, goes back in time and stays with Rogers. You can save Rogers in 1953. You can save him. You can take him out of time too, and just do your own thing. Just do that. But that's my thoughts as a whole for episode 9. And also, so many freaking references. Make sure I think I have it right here.
I
Let's
love
go.
that Marvel always has a bunch of Easter eggs and references during their episodes because it's always cool to see what they set up. So we're going to be talking spoilers from episode 9 of What If Season 2, and this will be your spoiler warning. So first off, when Supreme Strange is talking about collecting all the universe killers, Captain Carter references that every time you try to collect something dangerous, it usually means they break out. She references Gremlins, Aliens, and Jurassic Park. When Kahori is fighting Captain Carter, it reminded me of the Hawkeye versus Quicksilver scene from Age of Ultron. When Hela comes in and takes over the zombies, that's because she's literally the god of hell, and we see in Thor Ragnarok that she resurrects people. And when Surtur comes in, it seems like both Hela and Surtur know each other and go to fight one another, possibly leading into that these are the characters from the main MCU, and they were plucked by Stephen Strange right after they destroyed Asgard in Thor Ragnarok. What other Easter eggs and references did you notice during the final episode of What If Season 2?
Yeah, forgot about the zombies. We forgot to
Yeah,
mention about the zombies, and I love the way that Helena just took control. They're the undead. And boom, I love that too.
I love
And
that.
that was
That was actually a
cool.
pretty good trip, and I did like the reference of like that's true. Like, oh, I'm I'm the doom of Asgard. It's you. Oh, it's you. Like, oh crap, we are gonna do this shit again.
Yeah, let's go. Hoy por encima. Let's go. Let's do this. Yeah, that was good. Bono enemies. Let's go. All I needed was
Yes,
round one fight.
I like that. That's what I loved about this episode more than anything. We have one more video before we continue
What if
on.
season 2 is over with episode 9 and they set up so much stuff with that final episode for Captain Carter and the Marvel Multiverse? So we're going to be talking spoilers from the end of episode 9, so this will be your spoiler warning. So first of all, we get a cool fight with Captain Carter and Kahori going against Supreme Strange, giving him the beatdown of the century, with Captain Carter donning the Infinity Stone armor and Supreme Strange turning into the demon mode of himself with everything he's consumed over the years. We find out that Supreme Strange is only doing this because his grief has taken over, where he needs to save Christine and he wants to rebuild his universe. And it's all because he couldn't let go. He couldn't move on. So we have Peggy Carter taking him out. So in the end, he was able to save Christine, but he wasn't able to see it for himself. And then the Watcher saves Kahori and Peggy Carter from that explosion of the forge going off, which then leads into what Captain Carter's role is going to be in this new multiverse, kind of being the savior of the multiverse, where she's going to try to save universes that are dying because he can't intervene, but she can. And at the end, they show the Loki multiverse tree, showing us that Loki has recreated the multiverse and that Captain Carter and the Watcher are aware of this.
There we go. So I do like that. That could be a nice little turn for season 3, where she goes to universes that are dying and she tries to help, or at least tries to help, and then she can interact with a Kang in one of those adventures. Because again, they're out there. We all know that about that. But
Let me ask
now
you a quick question.
let's. Yes.
Let me ask you a quick question. What if Peggy becomes the Beyonder?
That would actually, if they're doing this in a way like in case of like, hey, and this is really ironic for say this. What if Jonathan Majors gets screwed over? So let's make a Peggy Carter to kind of like circumvent that to do it. They have the time and the money to speed up animation as much as they want. And this animation season was not COVID. This was just like right after it, money, boom, boom, boom. Because again, we're having season 3 in the summer of 2024. We're not even waiting a year. We're waiting 6 months. They already got it ready to go. And I like that.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts and theories of season 3? Let's bring it out before we're out of here.
Yeah. Like again, what's Carter's role now in the Marvel multiverse, in the Marvel universe here, where she could hear the Watcher. Actually, the Watcher has interfered, because I believe that Butterfly was a Watcher interfering to snap her out of it. It was I also saw a butterfly effect. If she would have gave in to go with Rogers, there would have been a whole butterfly effect of so many different things there. So I looked at that. That was a reference I saw when I saw the butterfly. But back to what's going to happen. What's going to happen now with Carter? How is she going to get interjected? Will she be interjected not only in the animated series or in Disney Plus? Is there going to be an Agent Carter where she gets placed back into her world, and what's going to come out of it? How's it going to tie into the MCU universe? What is it 1609 where she stands? Because obviously what Marvel's telling us here from the What If series, she is an important part now in the MCU universe. Also, we saw that before the What Ifs in being a founder of Shield, not just being the love interest of Captain Rogers, but being a founder of Shield, working hard, and the influence she had, because she even had her niece. Remember, her niece was also part of Shield and working in the Marvel universe as well. So Carter has a big part in the world, and I want to see where they're going to take the direction with her going forward. And I want to see more Loki. I want to know what's going on. Is he going to stay there holding the string of reality there, all the multiverse, or how's he going to get out of that? And they're going to show us that. And now I'm interested with now you said Spider-Man in season 3 with the teaser. I want to know also which Spider-Man we're getting. Is it Tobey Maguire? Is it going to be Andrew Garfield? Is it going to be the younger kid? Who is it? What is it? Is it Miles Morales? What's going on? Because we already seen that Spider-Man has a bunch of multiverse of different Spider-Mans. Which one are we bringing here? Or we gonna, so this is all a lot of good questions there being asked, and want to know, because there's so many other storylines. What ifs? We want to know what's going on. We always talk about the Celestials. They're out there. Tell us some more about them. Now, the movies didn't really hit home. Also, with when we talked about with episode 5 with Cojones and her tribe, remember that was cosmic. Also, we know that Wakanda, they got some cosmic energy as well to bring up those, with the vibranium. How did that got there? Can we find out how the vibranium got there as well? Where, how long ago in their tribe or their existence of civilization has that been there? Who bought it? Was it aliens? Was it gods? Was it all those questions? I hope we could get touched in season 3.
That's a good what if too as well. What if because the giant meteor of vibranium landed in Wakanda, which gave them vibranium? What if the meteor landed in South America where Namor is? What if the meteor landed in Canada where Wolverine and Project and all those guys are over there? Like you can take that meteor and that spaceship and just put it anywhere you want and have fun with it. Because that's the point of a what if, by just really doing that. And that's, for me, season 3, I want more. Like, let's go. If you're gonna really promote the series, like, do a what if of Hawkeye, do a what if of Echo, do a what if of, like, dude, go Punisher, go Daredevil, go She-Hulk. You can fix She-Hulk right now with a what if, and say what if She-Hulk was actually intimidating? What if she was this? What if she was that? And I do like that the story of Carter in her adventures in season 3, if we see her in season 3, she can pick up on certain things. So when she gets sent back to the time that she was in the parking lot with Black Widow, she knows what to do. Like, all right, I already know what the freaking do. I know where to go. I'm actually going to save Rogers the right way this time, and then do that. I hope because I want her to have a happy ending, because Rogers got a happy ending, and damn it, why can't she? Honestly. But that's our thoughts in season 3. That's the thing that go on, sir.
I've got another question that intrigued me that you mentioned, because we saw the story of Cojones and seeing how the Tesseract gave her powers. We also saw that I mentioned Namor, because this is also the indigenous, because they are Aztecas. The according to the movie, if you look at it with they're Azteca who went to, what is it? They surrendered to a power or a stone to able to breathe underwater, if I'm not mistaken. The movie,
I think it was like that.
And now, and then they say he was a mutant, like the first mutant. What if, like, again, if that meteor lands for the Red Skull? How's that, ended in Germany in that time, so many, because they were looking for that according to the other animated movies, but way before, with the meteor, that it was the Red Skull army and Hydra looking for that in Wakanda, sending a claw. What if Ulysses' claw gets something different, to combine and go into Wakanda and or get us Infinity Stone or mystical powers? Those are so many different questions. But my question is, I want to know how, if the story for her and the conquistadors that caused Namor and his family to go retrieve and learn how to live underwater in an Atlantis world has to do with this world, if they could tie something with that, we'd love to find that out too. You brought a lot of different questions.
There's another what if for everyone that's watching. We'll put it down in the comments. What if Atlantis fell, and instead of them staying underwater and learning underwater, they went west to America at the same? Because again, this is we can estimate that it's around like I said, it's pre-colonial times, so around 1500s. We don't know when Atlantis fell at all. We know that it was around 1,000 years ago, more or less, and based off stuff, theoretically. So they can say that Namor off the coast of Wakanda, Atlantis fell, whatever, and then, or even better, Wakanda fought Atlantis and got bloodlust, and they wanted to expand more, which would then clash with Kaori being a tribe of peace, and she has the whole world whole world behind her against Wakanda. Just Wakanda. That's the part that's even scarier, because Kaori's badass, but I'm putting my money on a Black Panther. Sorry, easy money in the track. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Mr. Kevin for passing by and giving us the honor and the privilege once again for the 3-part season 2 review coming soon. Hopefully sooner than later. We're going to talk about Aquaman 2. They say it's a bomb. Some say it's a masterpiece. We'll tell you the truth when it happens. Mr. Kevin, please say your socials down below so people can find you, which are in the description right below, ladies and gentlemen.
You can find on the LinkedIn all our different platforms because I'm like a hydra or an octopus all over the place in Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. But you can find me here on YouTube, Sports Jedi Network. We do now, of course, the movie reviews as well as all the different type of sports. Watch along. Hello, Amy. Happy New Year's to you. Salute to you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Wonderful comments there that she put on our channel, and follow us on the social, not just myself here. Well, on Rican Reaction, let's support, let's get him. We got to get him over that 1K. So we're counting on you. Let's go, Jedi Nation. Let's get behind us here, and let's get to the 1K for this wonderful platform because we want to continue not just talking about Marvel. We also got wrestling. We got some great stuff from Puerto Rico, the beautiful island de la Isla de Encanto. So we got to follow Alex, who does phenomenal work, and of course, that's how it is. You support one another in 2024. We're going to be doing big things together, and we count on you to make things big together. And again, Happy New Year for everyone that's listening to us and is going to hear us on all the different platforms, on the audio, on the video. Thank you again, and may the sports be with you. Happy New Year. Alex, muchas gracias. Thank you. Que Dios te bendiga in this new upcoming year, and many blessings, bro. I appreciate it.
And of course, thank you for the 4 people that are watching all around the world and on your TV sets, bathroom sets, patios, or rich mansions, whoever you are. Thank you. Happy New Year. Be safe. If you're gonna drink, eat some pernil to suck up all the grease. If you're gonna drive safely and get an Uber. We're technology advanced to do that. And if you're gonna get nasty, wear rubber. Above all else, but kiss the ones you love, hug the ones you care. And just tug on the cheeks on the ones that you love the most. Damn it, I love love. And ladies and gentlemen, we got one more comment. I'm about to finish that intro. Here we go. Here we go. Amy here. Messed up my words. Together we all win. Stay strong. Go Bill. Okay, come on. All right, now with the football talk, we're out here. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.